6th of September is celebrated as the Defense Day of Pakistan. On this very day in 1965, the Pakistani forces, armed forces and the people of Pakistan rose together to defeat a much bigger enemy. And that is why we celebrate this day today. But in today's time, I think it's become very important because today again our armed forces are engaged in an operation, in a battle against terrorism and militancy on our western border. Even today as we speak, many of our brothers in arms are fighting the operation Zarb-e-Azab, which is happening in North Waziristan. So it is very important that the same spirit that was shown by the nation and the way the nation stood with the armed forces in 1965, the same spirit is shown today, so that the armed forces can feel that their nation is standing behind them. And I'm sure that the nation will get that support from our nation, and we will be able to, inshallah, defeat the forces of terrorism and militancy in our country. Gentlemen, I now request you for a minute's silence in honor of those who've fallen.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of His Excellency Mr. Imran Mirza, Acting High Commissioner of Pakistan, and his staff, I formally welcome you on the occasion of Pakistan's Defense Day. This day marks when in 1965, young Pakistani nation stood up to defend her sovereignty and independence against far bigger aggression neighbor, India. On 6 September 1965, an open war was forced onto us when Indian forces crossed into Pakistan's international border with clear intent of overrunning Pakistan and establishing physical hegemony forever. This was not to happen. Our armed forces and civil defense stood to scared call to fight and defied all odds to defend their motherland. They fought with not only exemplary courage, but wrote a new chapter in military history of professional excellence. Though this 5-week war was fought on Kashmir issue, but in the end it meant to protect our homeland. As a result of unprecedented valor displayed by our civil and military forces and their successes against Indian forces, United Nations had to mandate a ceasefire. Most nations in their history of existence have to defend their right to exist against adversities. These moments become milestones for a nation. These milestones are ever remembered and ever celebrated, like we are celebrating today the Defense Day of Pakistan.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all on this important occasion of Pakistan Defense Day, a day that symbolizes the importance of a nation that attaches to safeguarding its sovereignty and territorial integrity. This day, when our valiant armed forces, with the support of people of Pakistan, bravely confronted and successfully rolled back an attack by an adversary 6 times bigger than our size. It is our nation's finest hour. The people and armed forces stood united, fought gallantly, and many laid their lives to safeguard the sovereignty and territorial integrity of their homeland. The unprecedented national unity demonstrated by our nation has made it a unique and memorable day in the history of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Defense Day signifies that Pakistan's defense is impregnable. Our armed forces and people are one and ever ready to defend the geographical and ideological frontiers against any external or internal threat. As you would know, our armed forces are playing a frontline role in war against terror. We have suffered hugely in terms of human and economic losses in this pursuit for regional peace and global peace. I thank you once again for joining us today for commemorating the Defense Day of Pakistan. and remembering all those soldiers and civilians who sacrificed there today for our tomorrow. Pakistan, Zindabad.
This is where we stood in 2001 and 2, before the Operation Enduring Freedom happened. The tribal areas, though with a loose government control, were largely peaceful. There was no terrorism or militancy that existed in the tribal areas of Pakistan in 2001 and 2. Then after 9/11, the famous Tora Bora, when some of the militants crossed over from Afghanistan into Pakistan after Operation Enduring Freedom started in Afghanistan. From 2002 to 2004, we saw a major influx of terrorists and militants from the Afghan side into our two major agencies, that is the North Waziristan and the South Waziristan. And then after that, till about 2006, the terrorists moved into Bajor and Momand agencies. And here you can see that where we stood in 2007-8, the green areas represent the strong government control, the yellows, the contested control, and the red areas represent lack of government control where the terrorists had strong influence. And you can see over about 30% of our tribal areas were under strong influence of terrorism. So once this situation was confronted, Pakistan military launched a major campaign. The strategic intent was to pursue the end objective of elimination of terrorists and deny use of own territory or sanctuary for operations within Pakistan or across the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. And this was to be done in conjunction with the ISAF forces on the Afghan side of the border. The military strategy, we all understand these terms: clear, hold, build, and transfer. That is what we still follow. We are in the process of doing that. So these were the major campaigns that were launched between 2008 and 2014. And you can see two campaigns, corps level campaigns, many division size and brigade size campaigns are launched. These are the number of operations that were conducted till about end of 2013, last year. And we've had many more operations since then. And you can see that there are two corps size operations and many other operations that were conducted, numbering over 7,000. The figures that we have, there's over 27,000 terrorists who've been killed, captured, or apprehended during these campaigns. So now the picture that after these operations are conducted, the picture that came is right in front of you. You could see a lot of the yellows and the reds were converted into greens. And only one major area, which was the North Waziristan agency, then remained. And this was the situation in June of this year. So after this, we decided to launch an operation known as Operation Zarb-e-Azb in North Waziristan agency to clear the last domain agency from terrorism and militancy. So just a few clips of what has been achieved, because this thing does not come out very often into the open in the press of how much has been achieved in these areas. I won't talk much about the de-radicalization. Suffice to say, just a small example, this is a facility known as Sabaun, where we bring juveniles who've been brainwashed and we bring them into this facility and they go through a training program of 3 to 6 months, and then we give them back to society as useful members of society. And you can see how they come in the top out of the picture, and when they pass out, you can see the picture at the bottom. Gentlemen, thank you very much for that. And just to, you can, after that, you can continue to have your food. And before that, we'll have our children who will just set themselves up for some national songs, but meanwhile, you can enjoy your food. Thank you very much.
के बाद
Defense Day of Pakistan is we celebrate it to remember the sacrifices made by our soldiers in 1965, in which they outwitted and pushed away a military which was 6 times the size of ours. So we want to remember those days, and we want to teach our youngsters and our youths that a country should remain united behind and besides the armed forces to fight against the foreign invaders. Currently, we're also fighting a war against terrorism in northern areas, as you would know, and the operation is going very successful. And this is once again a time in the history of Pakistan that the nation is united, standing behind the military, and inshallah, once again, we'll beat the terrorists at their turf. Thank you.
6th September is Defense Day of Pakistan, and I think we need to stand as a one nation to defend our country, to support our armed forces, to become a one nation. So I think it's very important to support our armed forces.
It's a great pleasure to be here, I think, because China and Pakistan is very, very good friend, and today's event is perfect and remind us our friendship with Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting evening. It's been great to come along here, meet all the staff, and to see the presentation we saw earlier. Really informative, really interesting to see the work which has been going on in Waziristan and those other areas. So yeah, a really good evening and a great opportunity to meet these people and to develop those relationships. So very good.